Today's show is brought to you by Audible. Visit drjoelwade.com, scroll down, and click the Audible banner to get 2 free audiobooks and start your free Audible trial today.
You are now listening to the Mastering Happiness podcast with Dr. Joel Wade.
Today we're going to explore your sixth sense. I don't mean some mystical ESP kind of thing. The sixth sense that I'm talking about isn't something imagined or hypothetical. We're all familiar, of course, with the 5 senses of sight, smell, hearing, taste, and touch. But we have another whole world of sensation that's often overlooked, and it's central to our power to change our habits and our lives for the better. This is our felt sense, the physical sensations in our body, in our limbs, in our motions, and in our guts. You're already familiar with this sixth sense, though it may still hold plenty of mystery for you. You know it when you say things like, "I have a gut feeling. That was spine-tingling. I feel butterflies in my stomach. I felt my heart in my throat. I just feel it in my bones." This is a very real internal sensory experience that every one of us has access to, and growing our awareness of it can become a tremendous resource for growth and change. Ready? Let's dive in. Close your eyes, and with your index finger, touch the tip of your nose. Now, how did you do that? You couldn't see it. I doubt that you heard it. And I'm certain that you couldn't have smelt it. You could touch your nose without looking because you have nerve receptors in your joints that allow you to sense your body in motion in relation to gravity. That's proprioception, and it's one of the 3 ways that we sense our bodies physically. Next, tense the muscles in one of your arms, and notice how that feels. Then relax it. Notice how that feels. Can you tell the difference? Of course you can, because we have nerve receptors in our muscles that tell us the precise degree of tension in each. We're able to sense tension, relaxation, warmth, coldness, vibration, and other qualities through our sense of kinesthesia. Finally, think about something you have an emotional response to or desire for. Love for someone dear to you, anger about something annoying, joy about something delightful, desire to move towards somebody you care for. How do you know what you feel? How do you know what you want? For many of us, the answer will be something along the lines of, "I don't know, I just know it." But that's just because many of us are also not very familiar with this part of our sensory system. So we just don't think about it. But we know it because we feel it from our enteric nervous system, a nerve complex connecting our brains with our gastrointestinal system, heart, and lungs, through our vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is the second largest nerve in our body. It's about the same size as our spinal cord. 80 to 90% of this system is sensory. It carries sensory information from our guts to our brain. This part of our nervous system in itself is more complex than the entire brain of a cat, even a very smart cat. So when we're feeling something in our guts, we're really feeling something in our guts. This is our visceral sense. It's the source of our gut feelings, a kind of physiological sense that can alert us to things just outside of our conscious awareness, or feelings of understanding that we're not paying attention to, and that maybe we ought to. It can also let us know how we feel about what we've eaten or taken in, physically or emotionally. These sensations are probably not new to you, but it's very common for us to ignore them, or minimize their importance. Today I want to show you how you can use them to make important changes in your habits that can make a big impact on your quality of life. Let me start with something that's relatively easy to sense. Notice your breathing. Does your breathing feel shallow or deep, or about medium? What does your chest feel like? Does it feel tense or relaxed? What about your belly? Can you sense the natural movement of your belly as you breathe in and out? Does that feel easy and relaxed, or do you feel some tension there? What about your back? Our ribs expand and contract all the way around with our breathing, so our back also naturally expands and contracts as well with every breath. If you find that your breathing feels shallow and you're feeling some tension anywhere related to it, see if you can gently slow and deepen your breathing. Just a bit, not big gasps. Just deepen your breathing a little bit, maybe 10 or 20%. Notice how you feel as you do that. If you're someone who gets anxious at times, just gently slowing and deepening your breathing several times a day can sometimes make a big difference. Even if you don't get particularly anxious, noticing when our breathing is shallow or there's tension in our belly, chest, and back, and then purposefully slowing and deepening our breathing for a couple of minutes can just feel good. It can help us feel stronger and more relaxed. But let's get more specific. How can we use these sensations to change the habits we want to change? One of the biggest obstacles to changing our habits is that our habits, bad and good, provide us with an immediate, concrete incentive to keep doing them, in the form of dopamine. We need habits. They keep us going, provide structure and a sense of meaning and continuity in our actions. Dopamine is the chemical in our brain that keeps us doing our habits by giving us an immediate sense of a promise of relief. It's a very powerful and immediate incentive, which is a great thing if our habits are serving us, serving our deepest values and goals. But when they don't, when our habits take us away from our deepest values and goals, that dopamine still draws us toward it, with the promise of relief from whatever stress we may be feeling. The problem is, our deepest values and goals tend to be abstract, long-term things, while that dopamine is immediate and concrete. So when we try to counter that temptation of a bad habit with an abstract idea like a value or a long-term goal, it's just not a fair fight. That's why habits can be so hard to change. This is where our sixth sense comes in. Our physical sensations are immediate, tangible, concrete. The more we can tune into them, the more we can make the challenge of changing our habits into a fair fight. To drive this home, let's take a specific example of a habit many of us try to change: the kind of foods we eat. We have a wonderful deli bakery nearby that has great healthy food and very yummy, not-so-healthy treats. Cookies, eclairs, pastries, very tempting stuff. Every once in a while, I'm seduced by these delicacies, and when I am, I almost always notice something afterwards. I don't feel as good as I did before. It's not a severely bad feeling, and I can easily ignore it if I want to. But if I pay attention to the sensations in my body, there's a clearly different feeling from my insides. It's not as pleasant as it was before I had eaten the sugar-filled morsel. It's extremely common for us as we grow and deal with our challenges and goals, and peer pressure and impatience of our fellow humans, to learn to ignore much of what these signals are telling us. By ignoring the sensations of our bodies, we effectively deprive ourselves of one of our great strengths to overcome short-term temptation, including the cravings for sugar and refined carbohydrates that have been fueling the alarming rise in obesity in recent decades. When I'm in the bakery and I smell that lovely odor and see the beautiful presentation of these yummy treats, I'm experiencing tangibly and immediately just how satisfying it would be to taste one of these treats. In the words of Winnie the Pooh, I wasn't going to eat it, I was just going to taste it. This craving reflects a promise of relief from stress that chemical dopamine brings to a certain part of my brain. This dopamine is nearly irresistible. It's the same mechanism that has brought experimental rats to cross a painfully electrified floor to stimulate an electrode to release dopamine in the same part of their brain as the pastries are promising in mine. It's the same mechanism that keeps us tracking our automatic habits, good and bad, day in and day out. So when we try to resist that powerful urge with an abstract idea like, I want to eat a healthier diet, or I want to lose 15 pounds. Guess which side wins? The pastry, of course. There's no contest. It's not a fair fight to pit something concrete and certain, the immediate pleasure of the taste, against something abstract. I want to be thinner or healthier sometime in the future. We might win that fight once in a while, but over time, we're sure to lose many more of these fights than we win. So let's make it a fair fight. We do that by bringing our entire arsenal to the conflict. That's where body sensations come in. In contrast to abstract thoughts, body sensations are immediate and tangible. Now, if you're like a lot of people, your felt sense is fairly vague. It takes practice to recognize what we're sensing in our bodies and to understand the sometimes very clear signals our bodies are trying to tell us. Here's a way to practice and harness the power of your felt sense. Take a journey through the sensations in different parts of your body. Sit comfortably and just begin noticing what you do sense in your body. Purely physical sensations: warmth, heat, cold, tension, relaxation, vibration, shaking, tingling, movement, lightness, heaviness. There are metaphors that we're used to that often are just sayings now, without the direct connection to the actual physical sensations they came from. I have butterflies in my stomach. My heart leapt. He has ants in his pants. It's a heavy burden. Begin to notice whatever you sense in a particular part of your body. Your chest and belly are good places to start. Notice your breathing. Look for qualities like tension, relaxation, warmth, coolness, stillness. The key from there is to begin to refine your sense to be more and more specific. I feel anxious. Where? In my chest. What do you sense there physically? Tightness, and my breathing is shallow. Then what happens if you slow and deepen your breathing a little bit? Not too much. As I mentioned earlier, often the emotion of anxiety can lessen, and other physical sensations can emerge. Mostly for now, just notice these sensations. Bring your conscious awareness to what you sense physically in that part of your body. Then move to the next area, and continue doing this throughout your body. Make this a regular practice for a few minutes every day. As you get more familiar with the physical sensations, you can begin to distinguish more and more between physical sensations, emotions, images, and thoughts. Let yourself explore the physical sensations, knowing that they'll change. Just notice what's happening now. If you start thinking about it, or following images or emotions, bring yourself back to the purely physical sensations. Don't try and figure out what's going on. Just allow yourself to experience it. If you make this a regular practice, like a kind of body meditation, you'll start to integrate a more conscious relationship with this felt sense. And you'll find that it also helps you to understand your emotions and impulses more effectively as well. And you'll be able to be more conscious of what your gut is telling you. Which brings us back to those tasty but unhealthy treats. Before you eat something you know isn't good for you, sugary, fatty, refined carbohydrates, notice what you sense in your body, particularly in your belly. Then, go ahead and eat it. But afterwards, notice the physical sensations in your belly. Do you feel better? Worse? What specifically do you sense, and where? Maybe you feel great. That can happen. But keep noticing what happens over time. The chances are that every once in a while you'll feel just fine after eating something like that. But most of the time you'll feel a little less comfortable in your belly. If eating these kinds of foods is a problem for you, you might also notice how you feel emotionally later. Disappointed, regretful, unhappy about having done it. Those are tangible experiences too. You can apply this to other habits you'd like to change as well. Just begin to notice how you feel in your body shortly after having done that habit. For example, procrastinating a piece of work or avoiding a necessary conflict. Maybe you feel good. You'll likely feel an immediate relief if you're avoiding something. But if it's something that's really not good for you or genuinely goes against your deeper values and goals, chances are that eventually the sensations in your body will reflect that, and you'll feel a kind of unpleasantness in your body. By paying attention to your physical sensations over the next few days and weeks, you can begin to get a familiarity and a vocabulary that can become very useful data, to the point where you can also begin to know what you're likely to sense when you do certain things, because you'll have noticed it over and over again. Pit the concrete information of what you'll sense and feel afterwards against the temptation of the bad habit, and now you have a fair fight. You still won't always win, of course. Some things are just too enticing, our willpower can wane, and our awareness is imperfect. But you will win more often than not, and that can make all the difference. We change our habits over time. If we're diligent, depending on the habit, it can take maybe a few weeks of consistent practice. By using your sixth sense, your felt sense, to bring the immediate consequences of your actions into your awareness, you can make this transition more effective and change your habits for the better. A Master's Course in Happiness is a monthly, in-depth program to help you actively, purposefully, and effectively live a happier, more fulfilling life. This course is designed to teach you the skills and principles that you need to bring the best you have to offer, inside and out. Over the course of 12 months, we'll explore what I've found are many of the fundamentals of living well. Through audio, video, and written material, you're supported to learn and practice specific actions each month that will strengthen you, inspire you, and enable you to lean into life more fully. These are skills and principles for self-mastery across all the circumstances and personalities I have ever worked with for nearly 4 decades, based on solid research and experience. And right now, exclusively for my listeners, you can experience the Master's Course in Happiness at a great discount. Use promo code MH, the number 1, promo, in all capitals, to get this $467 course for only $295 today. Visit www.drjoelwade.com. That's drjoelwade.com now, and use promo code MH1PROMO to receive this amazing course for only $295. A Master's Course in Happiness is designed to give you the most powerful skills that I can offer in a course. It will give you the tools and knowledge to apply yourself fully to the mission of mastering yourself. That's www.drjoelwade.com, promo code MH, the number 1, promo, all in capitals.